Hey guys, so I have been, as many of us are, probably processing and praying and reflecting as the year comes to an end, and maybe even looking ahead and asking the Lord for a word for the new year, or maybe asking Him for specific things or writing goals for the new year. So I've been the last few days in just that time of reflection and prayer and seeking the Lord. I didn't really have a big agenda this year. I just knew I wanted to sit with the Lord and just talk to Him. I just knew, like, Lord, there's a lot of stuff that I haven't even processed this year. Like, I just want to sit with the Lord. And I just wanted to sit with the Lord and just hear from Him and be with Him. That was kind of my agenda. And what kept coming to mind was my New Year's Eve last year. I just kept getting, like, it just kept coming to remembrance. There was nothing special or fancy about my New Year's Eve last year. I didn't do some kind of big event or celebration. We actually stayed home. I think we went on a big Christmas trip, so we came home and we had no intention or desire to really do anything. We were very much in a restful place and just wanted to stay home and worship and usher in the new year with rest and with quiet. And but in that time, the Lord also put it on my heart to not end the year with intention to start something new in the new year, but to end the year with action. So let me explain that. Let me break that down. So a lot of times we end the new year and we end the year and we have full expectation for the new year. Like, this is going to be my best year yet. We even hear this in, like, Christian circles, like prophetic words of this is going to be your best year yet, or like breakthrough year or provision year, or 2020 year of perfect vision. Like, that didn't work out the way anybody anticipated it to work out. We always end the year with this big hopeful expectation and anticipation for what is to come. And that's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a great way to rejoice and look ahead and be joyful in expectation. So there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of times in this, we make a lot of goals and tell ourselves all the things we want to do differently in the new year. Again, nothing inherently wrong with that. Make your goals, check your list, do all the things. So nothing wrong with that. But last year, I really felt the Lord telling me, don't wait until next year. And He was putting urgency on my heart to take steps for the things that He had already called me to do. So at the end of last year, I didn't set any goals. Usually I write a word for the year and I write a few goals or things that I want to pursue for the year to come, even if they're not goals, or maybe just like more vision casting. But last year I didn't do any of that. Didn't write a goal, didn't write a word for the year, nothing. I just really felt like the Lord was saying, take action. Don't end the year with anticipation, end the year with action. So earlier that month, the Lord had put it on my heart to start something new. I wasn't looking to start something new. I wasn't looking to take on a new project. I already have several things on my plate. I work full time. I go to school. I'm in a doctoral program. I have a writing ministry. I lead writing groups. So I wasn't looking to start anything new. I didn't even think I was capable of starting anything new. But the Lord had put something on my heart. And I told the Lord, okay, it was the end of the year when He put this desire in my heart. And I said, okay, I'll do it next year. It's the end of the year. We're winding out. I'll do it in January, maybe February. And as the month went on, I just really felt this urgency from the Lord not to wait. And I felt like He was saying, don't wait, like, move forward in it now. And I kept putting it off. I kept saying, like, it's not the time. I'll do it in January. Why would I start now? Like, it's December. I'm on vacation. It, again, didn't make sense to do it at that time. So I kept putting it off. I'm sorry. I'm going to be moving because if you don't know, I do have a chronic condition that puts me in a lot of pain. So I have to move a lot in order to not be in pain. So I want to say, like, don't mind, I guess, like, bear with me. It would be the right way to say that. I probably drive people at work crazy because when I'm on calls, I'm just constantly moving, and I know it can be so distracting. But you know, when you have things going on, sometimes you just have to do what you need to do in order to persevere. So, and for me, it's moving every like 2 minutes. Okay, let's get back on track here. So the Lord at the end of the year had called me to start something new. I kept having all these excuses and all these reasons why I shouldn't do it and why I needed to wait until the new year. And the urgency just kept growing. And I had already, like, I had done the research, I did my homework, right? Like, I had all the preparation. Really, all I needed to do was start taking action. And again, in my mind, it made sense to wait until January or February. Like, who in their right mind starts a brand new project at the end of December? But as the Lord kept putting the urgency on my heart, I found myself on New Year's Eve, and literally, like, toward the end of the day, just found myself just realizing I need to do this. And the Lord had really just put it on my heart, like, don't wait until next year, do it now. Don't put off for tomorrow what he has told us to do today. So I did what the Lord was calling me to do. I took action. I filled out my paperwork. I did all the things I needed to do. And literally, like at 11 o'clock at night, I finished doing what I needed to do. And that was how I ended my 2024 year. I ended it with starting a new project. And I get to now say, like, that's how I ended my year. And I just find that really neat and really beautiful. Now, in this story, I fully expected, because the Lord was urging me with so much urgency, I fully expected, like, there must be a reason why he wants me to do it now. There must be something on the other side of this, like maybe there's a big breakthrough coming or something like that. Nothing like that happened. January rolled around, my schedule got crazy, work got really, really challenging. I had probably the hardest, most challenging work season that I've had. I ended up going through a lot of just like personal things, like my car got stolen, like wild, because how does that even happen? Just, you know, I had a lot of things come up on my plate. And what the Lord showed me was that if I waited, I wouldn't have had the capacity, because there was so much other things going on. I wouldn't have had the capacity to do what he was calling me to do. So he urged me when I had some downtime at the end of the year so that I could take the step I needed, and that I wouldn't put it off, you know, and that I wouldn't end up getting distracted later on. So he urged me to have action rather than anticipation. So I just want to encourage you that, you know, as you are wrapping up your year, maybe you're watching this and, you know, it's not even the end of the year. Maybe it's at a whole different point in the calendar. But I want to encourage you that if the Lord has placed something on your heart, a desire, a dream, a goal, and you've found yourself putting it off, or even having anticipation of like, oh, one day I'm going to do that, or one day that's going to happen, I just want to encourage you, like, take action, and let action be what drives you, not anticipation. So don't wait for some big moment to take the steps that you can take today. So if you feel called to write a book, maybe you can start writing your outline today. If you feel called to start a business, maybe you can write your mission statement today, or file the paperwork today. If you feel like you need to look for a new job, maybe you start tweaking your resume or applying for some jobs today. So there are things that you can do. I think often I'm a like swing all the way kind of person. So a lot of times I think I need to do everything in like one sitting. And that's just not realistic. Even though I try to make those things happen, it just doesn't work like that. So a lot of times, like, we just need to take steps, right? We can take those little baby steps. That one project the Lord called me to do, I started it on New Year's Eve, but it took me about 3 months to work like through all the steps I needed to do. But because I started on New Year's Eve, I had the buy-in. There was no way I was going to let anything stop me from pursuing it, because I spent my New Year's Eve, my time, my resources, and finances on New Year's Eve to get that project going. So there was nothing that was going to deter me at that point. So for you, maybe there are things that you want to start or dreams that you have want to pursue. What are steps that you can take? What kind of baby steps can you take and can you do instead of waiting in anticipation? You can take action today. And I just feel like this is such a picture of, us in the kingdom of heaven here on earth. A lot of times people are living on earth and they're living in hell on earth. That's a very strong word. I never talk like this. But a lot of times people live in hell on earth and they're just anticipating Jesus to return, or they're anticipating going to heaven, and they live on earth in brokenness, in destruction, in misery, in pain, and all kinds of things. And they're really living like not well on earth. But yes, we live in joyful anticipation for the Lord to return, or for us to go to heaven, but that doesn't mean that we can't live in action on earth, right? We can live in action in joy. We can live in action in victory. We can live in action in pursuing things that God has called us to. It doesn't just have to be pursuing goals. It can be walking in victory, walking in healing, walking in freedom. I think a lot of times we live on this earth bound and broken, and we have just subscribed to this thinking that says one day the Lord will return and then all of this will be gone, or one day I'll go to heaven and then all of this will be okay. We don't have to live bound on this earth. We don't have to live broken on this earth. Like, Jesus came, he died, he was bound and broken for us so that we don't have to live bound and broken on this earth. Like, that is a victory and a promise that we get to carry with us and that we get to live. Jesus was bound and broken for us so that we don't need to live bound and broken. And the interesting thing for me is that it was last year, this same exact story, I was living bound and broken. I have a chronic health condition, which I mentioned earlier, puts me in a lot of pain, gives me a lot of issues. Even right now, you might be able to hear it. I get winded, so even just talking, I'm a little winded. Sometimes I have to remind myself, take a breath. But this condition puts me in a lot of pain. It makes life very challenging. One doctor told me, his words were so sharp. He was so kind and loving, but he said just a heavy statement to me. He said, "Rosie, your condition will not kill you, but it will make you miserable." And if I let it, that statement is very true. If I let that statement be true, it is very true. There are days that feel miserable. But, the Lord is good and has given me lots of ways to manage my condition, so I don't have to live in misery. But my condition does. It causes a lot of pain. It causes misery, if I'm honest. I don't like to say that because I don't like to speak that into existence. But my condition does. It causes a lot of challenges. That's just the reality. That's just fact, right? I can take my feeling out of it. That's just fact. And at the end of last year, I was just kind of at a breaking point, and I was crying and I was telling the Lord, when is this going to be done? When are you going to give me my healing? When can I be free of this issue? And I can't take it anymore. Please heal me. I was just crying out in pain. And in that moment, I felt the Lord just redirect me, just very lovingly, but also very sternly. He redirected me and he said, "Rosie, stop focusing on your pain and focus on your purpose." It's a powerful word. He said, "Stop focusing on your pain and focus on your purpose." And he led me in the word. And that was when he put it on my heart to start this new project. And really what he was doing was saying, "Rosie, you have a choice. You can be in misery. You can be in pain. You have an issue." He wasn't denying that, right? But he was saying, yes, you have an issue, but you have a choice that you can focus on your issue or you can focus on your purpose. And that's the same thing what he told to Paul. You know, Paul struggled with a thorn in his side. And even Paul said, like, God, like, you know, when are you going to take this away? Take this away. And God didn't take it away from him. And Paul said, like, even in his suffering, he's going to, you know, do what the Lord called him to do. So all this to say, there are things that can cause us to have anticipation, right? For me, it's the anticipation that I will have healing on this side of heaven. Like, I am believing and holding on that I will have healing in my body on earth. There's anticipation in that. But if I only focus on the anticipation, then that can quickly turn into pain and into misery. It can quickly turn into me being discouraged, into me being weary, into me being in misery. But in the Lord, in his wisdom, he tells me to focus on my purpose, to focus on doing the things that he has called me to do. And when I do this, it gets my eyes off of me, right? It gets my eyes off of my pain. It gets my eyes off of my misery. And it gets me focused on the Lord, the kingdom of heaven, and what he's called me to do. Sorry, one second. Okay, better. When I focus on, you know, what the Lord's called me to do and just take action, right? That action could be, for me, sometimes life is a daily battle with a chronic condition. So sometimes I do need to just focus on, like, what do I need today in my health? But, you know, then it's okay. What has God called me to in my purpose? Like, how do I walk in my purpose? If it's sharing content, writing a book, leading a group, you know, how do I focus on the purpose God's called me to? And when I do that and I get my eyes on action, then it helps me to live out what I'm joyfully anticipating. So I just want to encourage you, as you're ending the year or in the middle of your year, wherever you find yourself, that anticipation is great and there is joy in our anticipation. You know, be anticipating for the goals, the dreams, the prayers, the kingdom of heaven, all the things that God has promised us. But don't be so focused on anticipation that you forget to take action and that you forget to work toward the things as well. Take the steps, you know, focus on what God has called you to do. We can't just be in anticipation. We do have to have action with it. So if for you, if it's a goal, if it's a dream, if it's starting a business, writing a book, having a family, whatever it might be, just start to ask the Lord, like, what are the steps that you can take to walk in that joyful anticipation with action? And, you know, if you're good and there's nothing, then just enjoy the season that you're in, enjoy the anticipation, enjoy the delight that the Lord has for you, because that's okay too. But yeah, just encourage you that if there is a joyful anticipation, what action can you take to walk in that? And this isn't in striving. I'm not encouraging striving. I don't think like we need to go and, like, you know, have grit and hustle. This isn't coming from that kind of place. This is coming from a, like, let's redirect our focus place. Sometimes we can be so focused on, like, waiting for the Lord that we get caught up in that, and it causes negative emotions. So what can you do to shift your focus so that you can take steps in what you're anticipating? So I hope that encourages you and helps you as you are ending the year or starting the year, or, you know, already in somewhere in the middle of the year. I hope that encourages you. And happy new year. Happy 2026. Let this be a turnaround year for you, for your life, for your career, for your calling, for your family. May the Lord bless you and keep you and shine his face upon you, and be good to you. And may you see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living every single day. Be blessed.